Brogan, another year has gone and come. No, wait, strike that, reverse that.
The year has come and so have I.
Ho 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 ho! Come.
Okay. So
Anyway,
so we got a lot to cover today. Honestly, looking at this list, I'm honestly surprised by our list this year. If if you had asked me at the start of January what this year would have looked like, I would not have guessed these games.
no, this was like our oops all bangers season, right?
Definitely an oops. And then like I think a lot of them will go into the banger category. I don't think we reviewed an awful game here. We'll get
Yeah.
into it when we get into it.
Yeah.
But
For those first time watching one of our season retrospectives, what you're beholding in front of you, these colored eggs, this is the Murph diagram. It is the best way to rank video games on the internet. The patent still pending, but what we have here are various categories. Would recommend, that's just a game you would say, I recommend this. It is general purpose. You will learn about a genre or a time in gaming, right?
it will benefit your existence to
Yes.
play it.
Respect the craft. That's more for like, artsy. It's like there's something here I respect, but I can't really say I like or I think is good. But there is a measured effort that is visible. And
Mm-hmm.
then tickles my fancy. That's personal. That's just kind of like fun factor. That's like this is for me. This is I Brogan or I Murph saying I like this game. And then of course, there's not all games we like. Some are just a bit smelly, and that really just says it all, right?
It to me, I think it's more complex to me. It's like an X factor category. Most of the time it does mean janky or
Mhm.
bad. We will see some clear examples. I'm looking here. I could definitely see one of them that's very smelly. But it doesn't necessarily mean bad. Sometimes it could also mean a little bit of charm, but the charm also has a rancid je ne sais quoi is how
there's
I would define
there's
it.
good smells, like smelling your own farts, right? Is like,
Yeah.
right? But let's
Oof.
get started. Our first episode of the year was with our good buddy, the they them from Deutschland, Timo, aka Laugh. We looked at Signalis.
That was a good episode. I look back on that fondly and Laugh was a good guest. Now, Murph, I don't know your first impressions. I'll let you lead. Where do you think this should go?
Signalis was an interesting one to play. Post me having played all those Resident Evil games, right? Um, and the thing that always sticks in my mind about Signalis is for all of like the psychological horror and Evangelion homages and the story which legitimately has no like structure or word of God saying this is what the story is, right? At the end of the day, it is a very beautiful love story about two people dying and clinging to each other as reality falls apart. And for
So,
that, I think I really respect the craft on it. Like, it would go in the blue bubble regardless.
okay, I don't think it's smelly. I'm a
Mm.
veto smelly. Would you recommend it?
You know, I think I would. As an example of like one of those like modern day indie games that has the sauce, right? Like if
Mhm.
someone's like video games are just they're not fun anymore. All I do is stream 24 hours of Call of Duty and Battlefield. Games aren't fun anymore. I'd be like play Signalis, bro. That'll wake you
Yeah.
up. That'll shock your system.
Mhm. I personally really like the actual gameplay of it. I love the aesthetic vibes. It is like a PS1 sci-fi alien anime girl vibes, but like the actual like moment to moment gameplay is really fun and engaging in it. I respect the craft. I also agree with and would recommend. I Does it tickle my fancy? I think I like other horror games more.
Yeah.
But it goes right in between would recommend and respect the craft for me.
Yeah, I think the tickle my fancy, it just doesn't. I think it's a little too incomprehensible at times for my liking. And I think the final area you're in is a huge downgrade from what came before it, because what came before it really felt like the nexus of the meat nightmare. And then the final area is just to throw some more obfuscation on what you thought you understood.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we had a interesting discussion with Charlie Wackles. I believe that's how it's pronounced. He said it was like waffles, right?
Yes.
Wackles. Okay.
Yes.
On Wolfenstein 2 New Colossus, which he said was the peak of peak, and I was less hot on.
Oh, but here's the thing. I That's one of the reasons why we bring guests is sometimes they are the people to be the champions for a game that needs a champion. And I do think Wolfenstein 2 deserves a champion.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Now I think the problem with it, especially now, uh like almost a year after we played it, is the things I remember most about it, other than the story, are the things I was frustrated by. And because of that, it's very hard for me to respect the craft, especially since I compared it immediately to the New Order, which I feel like is much more clean in terms of moment to moment game design. But
Mm-hmm.
that being said, it may be more important and it may be more recommendable. But even then, it could be this may go into would recommend but smelly.
I think. See, it's interesting that I'm in the opposite bubble where I don't like Wolfenstein 2. Like I was pretty clear on that on the episode. I find the script really needed a second pass, and I find a lot of the gameplay decisions head scratching, like how the stealth works, where you're gonna get into a firefight regardless because the dudes that summon more dudes are always at the end of a level section, so there's not a lot of point in sneaking around. Um,
Yeah.
but in a lot of ways, I respect the boldness of it, and it feels very much like the work of multiple developers and writers being just vitriolic at the state of the world
Is
right now.
is this the Dark Souls 2? Is this the respect the smells?
I think I do kind of respect the smells.
Okay.
But
All
would
right. I
you do
see. I
you want
see.
to eck it into would recommend?
Um,
Because I don't
no,
know I would
no,
recommend
because
it.
I'm waffling between recommending and respecting. Is I think my
Yeah.
thing. Is I don't know whether or not I'm liking it or if I think other people should like it. That's a very complex feeling for me.
I
So I think
yeah.
where it is
I
where
don't
it
think
is.
I can recommend New Colossus in the way of like that's for you to figure out, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not for me to say, "Hey, you would like New Colossus," cuz I don't have purchase on it, right?
I think the reason I agree with you now that I'm thinking about regarding the respect, because what I really really admire about it is its expressive political statement. It commits to it fully, and because of that, it's hard to hate,
Yeah.
even when you're frustrated and even when you're grappling and confronting it. So yeah, I think it's perfect the way it is.
Yeah. All right. I feel real good about that. I'm going to tell you, thinking about this video all day, Wolfenstein 2 was the one I was like, I'm gonna let Brogan take the wheel because I legitimately don't know where it would fall on this
I,
graph.
when I when I thought about prepping for this, I was legit like, could we put it in the margins away from all
In
of
the
the others
void.
in the void?
All
Yeah,
right.
but
So
Dragon Quarter though.
switching from a difficult conversation to I'm gonna continue to say Dragon Quarter, Breath of Fire 5, Dragon Quarter, which we did with Jarrett Green. I still think Dragon Quarter is one of my favorite games we've done on this show, and the episode we talked about it is one of my favorite episodes we've done.
The show was a banger. The game is a banger. It definitely tickles my fancy. The craft is ambitious, and I think the only issue is I don't think I would recommend it.
No, this is.
This is, as we said in the show, this is a game for wolves.
Yeah, it is for sickos, but also part of me just like wants to cry out and like force people to play it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not a recommendation. That's a force.
Yeah, that's a little rough. I mean, the thing, especially looking back now on it, is and we just had a conversation regarding not knowing what to do or finding stopping points in RPGs. Is it, even though it is a very difficult game that is punishing and brutal and wants to kick your ass in, it also builds systems into when you fail, it's okay and you get back up stronger.
Yes, I can't think of many games where I agonize over whether or not I should hit the "you win now" button, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's
Or the give up and try everything over again
yes,
button.
because
Those are very powerful buttons.
I can't think of any games where the like you go super mode is like legitimately you kill everything, even the final boss. Like that's
Yeah.
and just having that carrot dangling in front of you, like, hey, is this combat too hard? You could always press the win button, but you're gonna be back here real soon, bitch, because your D gauge is gonna go up. Like that is such beautiful tension for a dungeon crawler like this.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't even get into the story or the art design, which is incredibly engaging and unique for the PS2. Banger.
Yeah, I think the respect the craft tickles my fancy bubble is pretty strong with that.
We're already getting a good balance here.
Yeah, we're filling out the corners. So, where does Halo 3 lie?
How do you feel about just would recommend?
Ooh, bold. Like where we put Dead Space?
The Dead
Slide
Space
2?
slide 2 bubble? How do you feel about that?
Oh man. So this was really one of our episodes that had like the longest tail on it in a lot of ways because of the Halo 3 with a full squad videos that I painstakingly edited and put up on your YouTube channel. And we did that with Will Berger and Abram of Backlog Banter. Uh man.
Now that was incredibly fun. Halo 3 is a great game.
So
I feel like our discussion got a little lost in the weeds. I had to do a lot of rough editing on that one. And I think looking back, I think Halo 3 is still not my favorite Halo. Like I'm still like, I like other Halos more. So, but I do think this game is a must play.
I think Halo 3's parts are probably better than its wholes. It has some really good set pieces, really memorable set pieces. I'm not sure how much of that causes me to cry out that I respect the craft of it, you know? Cuz it's kind of one of those like blockbuster scenarios where I'm not thinking about that. I'm just eating popcorn.
Yeah, how great is Independence Day really?
Yeah. I mean, it does have that shot where the golden retriever leaps from one car to the other as the tunnel is filling with fire, but it looks to the camera first. I kind of feel here's the thing, Halo 3 may not be your favorite Halo, but after the whole experience, it kind of creeped up a little for me. And
okay.
I'm
so
kind
do you want to
I'm kind of
fancy
feeling
tickle?
would recommend tickle my fancy,
Okay, I'm down for that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
also one of those things where it's like kind of like Sly 2, where it would fall into would recommend by default because if someone said they hadn't played Halo 3, I'd be like, you should get on that, son.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. It's I would not, it's one of those, it's like required reading, but it's not required reading in the way of like the classics. It's much more
no.
like I haven't seen Die Hard. And it's like, oh, you should
Yes.
probably see Die Hard.
You want it, like, because it's like, just the cultural zeitgeist, you're going to be completely out.
Yeah, you missed out on something big. Speaking of missing out on something big,
Fucking beat me to it.
uh, this is the smelliest game of the year.
This, I think, Sonic Adventure, which we did with the lovely Joe Richards, um, this may be our No More Heroes Harvester pick of the season, oddly enough.
I was not ready for this take, Murph.
Because I kind of. See, it comes down to do I respect Sonic Adventure in a sick, twisted way?
As Big the Cat, you kind of have to. You have to respect them putting in an entire fishing mini game campaign in a big blockbuster video
Yeah,
game.
it's more like because when you pair it with the smell factor, it's kind of like they destroyed video games in their basement and rebuilt them in their attic, and all you can do is just applaud at someone putting in their level best, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is like this goes into like the would recommend and respecting the craft are not golden praise.
No,
Like would recommend is because this is one of the most important games ever made. It's not one of the best games ever made.
no, no.
Um
I would.
and the same thing for Respect the Craft. It's just insanely ambitious. It's a bunch of different campaigns with different storytelling interweavings, but they're all mediocre.
Yeah, like, and I would do the would recommend because it kind of is really important to like understanding Sonic as a mascot because Sonic persists. His fan base
Yeah.
persists, and understanding the Sonic fan base, you kind of need to play Sonic Adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
like definitely smelly, and like deep down, I'm not gonna lie, it does tickle my fancy.
it
I
tickles
played this game as a kid. I fucking love it. It's fun.
it tickles my
It's not
fancy
good,
in
but
the
it's
same
fun.
way that like Plan 9 from Outer Space tickles my fancy, where I just feel good for Ed Wood, you know?
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think it kind of falls dead center for me.
That's so funny. I did not see this coming.
I feel it. I feel it in my bone.
All right.
Now on the opposite end of the spectrum.
the most bankerest game to exist. There's not much you can say about a game sometimes other than yup, it's good, and that's Burnout 3.
Yeah. So here's the question. Do you respect the craft of Burnout 3?
No, not really.
Yeah. Would you recommend Burnout 3?
Hell the fuck,
Fuck
yeah.
yes. So you know what, Halo 3, you're making room. Cuz
There you go.
like what is there to say? It's Burnout 3. It slaps. You can pick it up immediately and understand why it slaps. Some games are just perfect like that.
And like if a bunch of my buds came over and we were gonna like hang out and drink Mountain Dew and
Mhm.
smoke weed,
Yeah.
we would be playing not only Burnout 3, but we would be playing Halo 3.
Yeah.
Those are part of the same cultural vibes. Mountain Dew, Doritos, it's
Yeah.
all the vibes.
I think that is a good way to define this section of the diagram. That is the buds are coming over. What are we playing?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, would the buds be coming over to play Zelda 1 for the NES? This was part of a
Our
double
buds
feature.
would.
Yeah.
Brendan would. But otherwise, no.
So we did this
Go ahead.
double feature with Brendan, dear Brendan,
Mm-hmm.
and my notes aren't loading.
HPR Shredder.
HPR Shredder. Uh, so this was the playthrough where Zelda 1 like fully clicked for me. And I think this game is really a 10 out of 10 now. Before I was down in the
Mm-hmm.
7s. Um I it's one of those things that's hard to articulate cuz I think I respect the craft of it, but it kind of bleeds into that Halo 3 thing of like it feels really effortless, so I'm not really noticing the craft.
Yeah. I'm personally, I would put it in respect to the craft, would recommend Tickles My Fancy.
Yeah.
That empty valley. Yes.
Yeah, the ideal video game right next to Sonic Adventure.
Yes. Yeah. I don't personally find it smelly. It's one of those that always keeps with me and I super enjoy. And I'm gonna go ahead. I would pair Zelda 2 now. We talked about both of the games at once in the same episode. I really like that episode.
Mm.
I even now they did a really good defensive Zelda 2, and Zelda 2 is a really, really good game, and I definitely respect it more on this playthrough. It's not tickling my fancy.
No.
And I it's hard to recommend. It to me it is. I think that goes into pure respect the craft. For me personally.
Let me think about that. You know what? You're 100% right. Cuz I was about to be like there's a small part of it that's smelly, and it's the if you're playing without a guide, you'll have no clue what you're doing. But you know what? Fuck it. Pure respect the craft.
Yeah. Yep. 1000%.
All right.
Now,
Super Paper Mario for the Wii
with David.
With David.
This game took a long time to record. It was a long time in the planning process.
Weirdly,
and when we made it, we were like, "Why did we make this?"
Weirdly, like a very chewy game, like one you really have to like sit and digest for a game called Super Paper Mario.
Looking back now, everything we said was about the same. It sticks out to me now where I'm like, why is the combat in this RPG complex thing just jumping on people? There's a reason why you only jump on people once, twice, or 3 times if it's a boss.
Yeah.
And that's because if you have to jump anymore, it's boring.
Yeah. And I think here's what I'm thinking, just gut reaction. I'm thinking it goes down with the refutation of Nazism in America. Cuz if there's one thing that's respectable about Super Paper Mario, it is its boldness, in the same way that Wolfenstein 2 is respectable for its boldness. Its story is like genuinely like I don't know, surprising for like it's not necessarily that the guy cooked too hard, but he incorporated a lot of ingredients. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when you look back at the legacy of Super Paper Mario, they're not talking about the gameplay. Like that's not you're not seeing YouTube videos titled Nintendo's best gameplay. What they're titled is Nintendo's best story. And that's for them to live their life with believing. But I do respect that I can see the point of view.
Yeah.
But man, that game stinks in a lot of ways.
It's rough.
Intentionally
it is
so.
Not the best.
Like, intentionally so, it does, like, it deliberately messes with the player. But in a...
Yeah.
Sometimes you just don't need, like, your schoolyard buddy doing pranks 24/7. right?
Here's the thing is to compare this to like 2 years ago when we did No More Heroes. No More Heroes' frustrations felt seamlessly interwoven into the grand themes.
Mm,
When it was revealed that everything in No More Heroes was a scam, everything clicked. I was
yeah.
like, yes, the joke is on me. I should have seen this coming a mile away. And whereas in Super Paper Mario, that never clicks. And instead, it feels like I'm doing this and there's no end game joke. And the only thing that still sticks with me after that is Count Bleck and O Chunks. And
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, that's pretty cool, I guess. Yeah, they're cool.
The thing that sticks with you is good old O Chunks.
Yeah.
He'll chunk 'em good.
Hmm. Uh is Batman Arkham Asylum the Dead Space of this episode?
Oh my god, it might be, but I think I have too much nostalgia to plonk it in
Oh
just would
no.
recommend.
You're fancy. It's gonna go in the Burnout 3 category?
Let me think. Let me dwell. Yes, it does go in the Burnout 3 category.
That category's looking a little crowded.
Well, oops, all bangers.
Master Chief's riding the Warthog with Batman on the artillery gun.
Yeah, they're getting takedowns.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
is
basically.
there to say about Arkham Asylum?
It really makes you feel like you're playing Batman, Murph.
It
Duh.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? I still believe that's a functional statement.
No, but in all seriousness, I still think it is the best Arkham game. It is incredible. I My take is the Battlefront 2 take of I think in a perfect world we would have higher standards,
Hmm.
but as of right now, this is all you can really ask for out of a licensed Batman game.
Yeah. Let me ask this. Right, let me ask this. How do you feel about just floating it in Tickles My Fancy?
Um, I I definitely think it's crowded over there. I would either put Arkham Asylum over there or put Burnout 3 and Tickles My Fancy. Um that would really depend on the person I'm recommending it to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily think a lot of people love the Batman systems. Batman is a give or take, and especially the brawler stuff. Whereas Burnout 3 is fun for everybody. I think
Yeah.
everybody could, love bringing cars into each other. So I could see the tickles my fancy. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually feel like, because when we think about, when we were talking about Halo 3 and Burnout 3, it was on, like, the would recommend was visceral. Like, yeah, you should play
Yeah.
that, bro. Like, whereas
Yeah.
Batman, I kind of take a pause for a second and have to appraise, because it is the year of our Lord 2025. And like you said, we do kind of have, like, better versions of this game available. I don't necessarily know if someone needs to go back to playing the first Arkham game.
Yeah. That's true.
I feel all right with that for now. We'll reappraise. But then you came out swinging, and you're like, "We're playing Hylix."
That's right. We're playing the top shelf shit, yo. I'm
Probably
curious. I want to hear where you would put this.
Hylix is probably our, like, most niche game of the season, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's either like Hylix or Signalis or weirdly Sonic Adventure. Um, I respect the craft of Hylix. I think I would recommend Hylix. And you know what? I think Hylix kind of tickles my fancy.
Okay, there you go. I agree. Yeah.
How do you feel?
Here's the real question. You did not get the party member in there, but do you think it's smelly?
No, because it's 2 hours.
That makes sense.
You know,
Okay, yeah,
it's
that
kind
makes
of
sense.
like 2 years ago when we did Aoni, and you were like,
Uh-huh.
"It's free." you know,
Yeah,
that kind of erases a bit of the smell factor.
that makes
And
sense.
if there
That
is a
totally does.
smell factor, it's kind of like a blue cheese smell, where where the mold is adding to the bouquet of flavor.
Yeah, I can totally see that. And I am actually, trivia for the viewer, a big blue cheese guy.
I dude, blue cheese was when I became an adult. That was the one I unlocked. I finally understood blue cheese.
This is why we're co-hosts.
So do
Yeah, go
you?
ahead and put.
With that
Go
said,
ahead.
do you think it X more into the Sonic Adventure section, or is it just a banger like Zelda One?
No, I think it's a banger like Zelda one. First of all, I think the Sacred No More Heroes Valley should have one king to it.
Fair enough.
Se- Second of all, you're right in regards to the smell. If there is a smell, and I think every game has some sense of smell to it, but Hylix's is very peculiar to it, and it's not necessarily like off-putting or anything like that. It's just acceptable. It's built into the thing, and it's
Yeah.
also a low price point. It's like $2.
That's where the
So
would recommend comes for me. Because even though it's like
yeah,
weird and off putting, it's super cheap, it's super short, and at that price point in time, anyone, even like the most anti art fool you know, is going to achieve something out of that experience.
yeah, I
So
agree.
that feels good. And then the hits start coming and they won't stop coming because we played Return of the Obra Dinn, one of my favorite detective games.
This is dope as hell indeed. Now let me take the lead on this one,
All right, I'm handing
Murph.
you the lead.
It, it's not smelly.
Uh huh.
It I 100% respect the craft. It is well crafted. Um, I don't know if this does tickle your fancy, so I'll let it slide in that. It might go in the Dragon Quarter thing. I'm unsure if I would recommend it. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
Mainly because go ahead.
No, no, you go ahead. I'm observing. I'm listening.
Mainly because I feel like number one, this is a niche genre, and it's pretty limited in terms of like the scope of appeal for people. This goes back to how many people would actually like it. If I would take a random person off the street, could I recommend it to them? There are some barriers here, and I don't necessarily think they're bad barriers. I think if you're somewhat into gaming and somewhat into the adventure puzzle genre, you would absolutely love this. Or if you even have a slight inkling for the detective angles and deductive reasoning, it is a 10 out of 10 for that.
Hmm.
um so I could go either way on that.
Yeah, I think I think in the would recommend it would kind of be the same thing as like Signalis, where I'm like, you want to play like a banger indie game, play Return of
Yeah.
Obra Dinn. But you are right that there are quite a few barriers of entry. You kind of have to know the person you're recommending them it to. They kind of have to have already given you clues that they like this kind of deductive gameplay and stuff.
Hmm.
So yeah, if we were talking about the developer's previous game, Papers Please, I think that would be way more recommendable compared to Return of Obra
Yeah.
Dinn. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think the Dragon Quarter area works
Yeah.
for that.
Hmm. That's not a bad area to be in for sure. Diablo, Murph. Fucking Diablo.
The very first one. And we did this also with Brendan. We did a Halloween double feature. We'll get to the second game. There wasn't a lot in common, but we found commonalities because we're good like that.
uh this game is really good.
Yeah.
Um Does it tickle your fancies? The first thing I want to know.
It tickles my fancy in the way that, like, a slot machine tickles my fancy. That sounds abrasive, but it's like, it's true. In a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
ways, the assessment core of the game is killing things until you get that loot drop, and then salivating as you run back to town to get it identified and see if it works with your current build, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that that is so, like, perfected out the gate in 1997, like, there is something respectable about that, but in a way that I think is going to be invisible to a lot of other people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Here's what I want to suggest. I want to see if you vibe with me on this. That big old stretch between Super Paper Mario and Signalis. That would recommend just a bit smelly, respect the craft. Does
okay.
not tickle my fancy. And let me tell you why. I don't particularly love the Diablo loot.
Okay.
Personally, it does not connect with me. Diablo 1 is one of the biggest successes at it because I think it's a little bit more primordial in how it does it. That's not to say it's not good on its own. It is great on its own. I like the way this does it. It's not necessarily shallow in the numbers go up loot sense. It feels very natural and it makes sense to me. But there's still a grit to it. This is one where I think the smell's a grit, like it's a
Hmm.
texture.
Okay, yeah. Like, it's a little charred, and not everyone's gonna like a little
Yes.
char on their burger. Yeah. I can vibe with that. But you think it's still recommendable for people.
Uh, Technically, if someone asked, like, I guess this would be the make or break point for you. Is if someone was like, "Should I play Diablo 1 or 2?" I'd say, "I guess play Diablo 2, comma, but Diablo 1's pretty fucking cool."
Yeah, and that's where I get hung up is that, like, because of how Diablo 1 really stands alone amongst its later entries, it kind of makes more sense for someone being like, I want to know what Diablo is about, to say you should start with Diablo 2. Um Let me float this. What about a kind of, like, respect the craft, smell fancy, or just smell fancy?
I could do smell fancy. There's a lot I like about it, in particular regarding to the art direction and the vibes. And Diablo 1 is special in the vibes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I think that works cuz I do, like, I think I brought it up on the episode, but I really like the music in Diablo 1. How it sets the tone and mood. It's a lot
The
like the
sound design, the voice acting, all of the
yeah.
sound is amazing.
It's a lot like Fallout's 1 and 2 in a lot of ways. How the soundtrack kind of feels like primordial and almost like diegetic in a way. Like that organ music is just emanating out of the halls of the crypts. Uh
Mhm.
I think it really sticks and tickles in the brain in a way that's not really like
It,
tickling my fancy, but it's secreting serotonin.
I still want to go back. You one of the markers we ask at the end of the season is what's the game I want to play the most
Mm,
now that it's all over and I'm looking at all of these games. What's the one I was like, man, I should play that right now? Diablo 1 is my answer.
yeah. Yeah, because it gets you in that loop, and
Yeah.
like the fact like I said, they just had it out the gate. They just had the formula out the gate, and that is really impressive.
And I just want to highlight here, first of all, this is if you look straight vertical in the split of the map, you'll see Signalis, Sonic Adventure, and Diablo. This
Where
is the holy trinity of gaming.
we are
Um,
we are calling out to the T girls in our audience.
yeah, basically, yes.
All right,
Um, let's
but
let's break out Symphony of the Night. Let's
the
go
other
over it.
part of that, the other part of my mouse dying. Fuck me.
Oh no.
No, okay, there we go. The other part of that double feature was we did Symphony of the Night. Again, with Brendan of The Crawl. My first time playing Symphony of the Night. And let me just say, the thing that sticks out to me when I think about Symphony Night is I really respect the craft of this game a hell of a lot. I don't think it really tickles my fancy.
That makes sense. It tickles mine. I'll defer this one because we have a lot of fancies this
Mm-hmm.
time around. This one might be that bubble between Super Paper Mario and Signalis. Because I would recommend Symphony of the Night still.
And you feel it has a smell.
I feel like you feel like it has a smell.
I I don't feel it's a smell. I think it's more an incompatibility. I feel like
Okay.
more it sits next to Signalis there, where it's recommendable on the historical level, right? Like it's the
Mm-hmm.
Vania part of Metroidvania. But I
Yeah.
respect the craft on the pixel art, the music, the fucking jokes. Uh
Yeah.
like to me everything that's iconic about this game is everything that it didn't have like the longest legacy on. The longest legacy was in being the Vania part of Metroidvania, in which I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel it's really the strongest of that. And
Yeah.
maybe I need to play more Igvanias, you know?
Mm-hmm. I could totally see that, and especially I don't think it's very smelly, and I still really, really like the game. When I played this time around, I was like, "Oh, this fucking slaps! I fucking love this." I feel like this is a game that rewards repeat playthroughs, and I feel like one day people fall in love with it, or they just don't get it.
Mm,
And I feel like that's a good spot for it.
yeah. And then moving on to our annual Halloween episode with Will Berger and Thomas Wilde, we looked at Fear. And you know what? Will and Thomas aren't here right now, and I know they're not going to watch this retrospective unless a certain person in the Golden Weekly server ats them that I'm talking shit.
I'm just gonna go ahead and call him out. Goggin, do not at will. Don't do it.
I think this game has a bit of stank on it.
I I think this is a what? Yeah, it's
you
stinky for sure.
you weren't
Go ahead.
there, so this is your chance to talk about Fear.
This is my chance to talk fear. I haven't listened to the episode. I was like, I kind of want to forget about this game. I'm not gonna lie. It's not bad. I don't hate it. It's like a good 7 out of 10. This is one of those where it's like it's a 7 out of 10 for someone out there that loves it deeply, and you'll always respect that for those people. It's not for me. That's not the 7 out of 10 I love, dog.
Yeah.
Um, I
It
feel like the combat is really sharp. The slow motion is really engaging. Sometimes the fear stuff works. Like sometimes the horror kicks in. The plot makes sense and is cool. And like seeing the NPCs and their dialogues, yeah, it's all neat and stuff. I feel like I personally, especially for the time it came out, there were other games doing that stuff in other ways. That was pretty good too. That's just my take. Um, I kind of would recommend it though. It may go in would recommend just a bit smelly to me.
hmm. All of the smell factor for me in the game is everything that's tied to its intense mid 2000s-ness. The presentation of the horror, the fact that we're doing like creepy little girl with shaky bloom effect camera. Eh, um and just like the fact that it's gray office buildings and parking garages really weigh down what is an intensely fun um like gameplay system. And
Yeah,
when you play the DLC Extraction Point, you can see how that can be fully realized with interesting levels and set pieces.
yeah.
Um I do. Would I recommend it? Would I recommend Fear to someone?
Here's the thing I will say about this regarding the smooth gunplay and gameplay is it kind of goes into that Halo 3 thing of I think the campaign is strong. Um the thing that sneaks in the back of my head is like there's just little moments or little threads in which I'm like Half-Life did this better. Doom 3 did this better. Or you know what I mean? Where I'm just like thinking that. But that being said, if someone wanted to play a spooky first person shoot, if the dude that played Halo 3 every fucking night, every Saturday night with his Mountain Dew wanted for one moment to take himself seriously and play a real thought-provoking horror game,
Yeah.
I would recommend Fear to him.
What? So what about their next to Halo 3? Smell
Does
recommend.
it tickle your fancy?
I think the combat is going to stick with me. I think there is a really beautiful dance with the slow-mo, the weaponry, the fact that it's a shooter with only like 5 weapons. Good for me. Great. I don't need 30
They're all
different
strong.
types of SMG.
They're all good.
They're all good. They're all useful. You think of how they would be used. And when you get into a level that really is like dynamic and interesting, like the when you get out of the office building and you're running up the street and going through abandoned apartment buildings, the combat sings there, man. And and that's when you can like get real like funky and weird with it. You're laying traps, you're playing cat and mouse with these really alive feeling AI. Um that's where Fear like will stick in my brain. You know, the story is a haze in my mind because it's all delivered via phone calls. Um the combat's going to live in my mind forever. And I think that's what tickles my fancy about it.
I think that's a perfect spot for it.
And then, the most divisive episode in the history of podcasting. We pitted Portal 1 against Portal 2.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, Murph. Lives were lost.
Yeah. And you know what? I will admit this now, and only now, because I am going to be taking a leave of absence. Dear listener, I'm going to be in fucking Antarctica. Don't ask questions. I'm going to be gone for a while. So
the lore bombshell just dropped.
Brendan alluded to it like multiple times. And each time I was like, don't be saying that. It's not definite yet.
Now it's definite.
But I will leave Brogan. This is my Christmas gift to him. I will admit, after doing that episode and listening back to it, I think the scales did tip, and I like Portal 1 more than Portal 2 now.
Brogan was right. He destroyed Murph with facts and logic.
Broke my back on the wheel of logic.
In the marketplace of ideas I won.
Yes.
That being said, I don't know where I would put this.
I think it's respectable in, like, the game design sense. Like, I think anyone can pick up Portal, and even within the first thing, they're going to get to experimenting with the portals and being like, wow, how does this work on, like, a coding level, right? It's recommendable because it's Portal. You should have played Portal at this point in time in your, like, gamer canon. And it tickles my fancy because it's fucking Portal 1, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, there's no stank on this.
No, it's perfect. It's clean. It's a clean burning fuel. It's the propane of games.
Yes. And the propane accessory. Portal 2.
Murph.
Yes.
He's dying. Here's what I'll say. In my opinion, And this is also me being charitable back. I feel like I'm trying to think of the way to say this. I think Portal 2 is fancier.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Um Personally, I feel like Portal 1 is pristine and clean burning, but Portal 2 attempts more, tries to do more. With that, it's a little uneven, but no matter what, I think it tickles more fancies. It tickles
Yeah.
the Murphs of the world more, whereas I think Portal is a general crowd pleaser. So I wouldn't mind kicking Portal out of that perfect center part and
Mhm.
putting Portal 2 more in a rougher spot, and then putting Portal 1, I would put Portal 1 in like a respect would recommend or just would recommend.
Mhm.
Um and then Portal 2 I would put anywhere that does not, I don't know. And I would put Portal 2 anywhere on this and be okay with it.
Does for you Brogan, man of the hour, does Portal 2 have a stank on it?
Um to me only because of the dated humor. Going by the fear
Mm.
logic of it's dated.
Yeah. Okay.
If
I
we're
can
not going by that logic, I actually think it's pretty clean as well.
that is an excellent way to contextualize that because for me for me it doesn't feel dated, but that's because I grew up with this, right? Like to
Yeah.
me this is just foundational. But
Yeah.
to someone
Whereas
older,
Will is a little bit older than you, so he thought fear was foundational.
yes.
It's literally just an age thing. Yeah, absolutely.
So I can see the stank on it because there is a bit more that's like not necessarily rotten about Portal 2, but a lot more you can identify as just like not being as ideal as it could be. And that sticks
Yeah.
out like a sore thumb in a game as prestigious, let's say, as talked about, as in top 100 games of all times as Portal 2 is. Um,
Hmm.
Here's where I come down on like the respect the craft bubble for Portal 2 is on a gameplay side of it, there's nothing I really feel Portal 2 does that wasn't like conceivable for Portal 1.
Yeah. Other than goo, I guess. Maybe.
Yeah. But even then the goo kind of feels a little like that's like a plus 1.
It's like a little bit of a mod. A mod could have done that.
Yeah. So I don't it kind of falls into that like very famous game category that gets the would recommends of the world.
Yeah.
So, given we used fear as a point of reference, do we want to plonk it down there next to fear?
Um it honestly, this goes into what how fancy do you think it is? You know what? You could. Yeah, I think I think sharing a spot with fear makes thematic sense for the season.
Yeah, there we go. Make sure everyone's visible. Okay. And then we closed the season with the story of a man named Stanley.
I
This
don't remember. I have yet to edit this episode. The episode will be coming out before this releases.
mhm.
But that being said, I don't remember anything I said about this game.
Fair enough. Do you remember
I
anything about the
I,
game just in general?
I remember my feelings on it, but the feelings could be very different. The feelings I have now on it are I really like the writing. It speaks a lot to the different avenues of game design, and like what stuck out to me was as a dungeon master or as a person that makes games sometimes and sees how players behave. It explores all of those in a very emotionally satisfying or intriguing and thought-provoking way. This is less of a game and more of an interactive experience.
Mm.
And because of that, I don't necessarily know how how confident I am in recommending some of these bubbles.
So, see, my gut is to put it there with Signalis, Portal, and Symphony of the Night. Um,
I would push back.
yeah, I think I think I would fight to at the very least keep it in the would recommend bubble because it is a game
Yeah.
that I legitimately think you could recommend to anyone. Like you could give this to your dad and he will understand like, oh, this is about like playing on my choices. And because there's not like gameplay to it, it's just walking forward and picking doors. It's very approachable for someone that he doesn't even like have a conception of what a video game is. Um,
Mm-hmm.
for me, like it does like tickle the fancy in terms of like the writing and the humor of it, right? But the
Yeah.
like you acknowledged earlier, the fancy bubble's getting a little crowded. So I would feel almost like pure would recommend for the Stanley
I
Parable.
would I would not mind a pure recommend. I would agree with that. Like deeply, I think sometimes when we place these bubbles, my gut has to just ask the question. And the only thing that comes to mind with Stanley Parable is I think everybody should play it at
Mm,
least once.
yeah,
That is the sum total thing I feel. And then everything else is after that. I don't think it's smelly. It's almost too non it's too much of a skeleton to be smelly. It doesn't have
mm,
enough meat on the bones in that sense. The problem with respecting the craft is you're only really respecting the writing.
yeah.
Um and that's not to say that you can't just do that, but eh. And then tickles my fancy. It didn't tickle my fancy. I feel like there should be a give and take on the fancies. I budged on Portal 2. I don't think I'm gonna budge on Stanley Parable.
That's entirely fair. Like, yeah, the tickles my fancy is very it is maybe the most esoteric bubble on the thing because that is like the most gut reaction. Like, do I like this? Um,
Yeah.
for me, I do, but I also like Portal 2. And as we acknowledged in the episode, Stanley Parable is a very like Portal 2 ass game. Um, but you're right. Like when I think about like cutting aside all of that, at the end of the day, the Stanley Parable is a game everyone should play. And
Mhm.
that really cements for me it's just pure would recommend.
Yeah, I
So,
agree.
looking at this spread, it's a bit more lopsided compared to previous years. But
I
again, oops, all bangers. Is there anything you want to relitigate?
let's relitigate. I'm gonna open up some things. Let me push for something real quick.
Sure.
I First of all, I like symmetry. I'm a symmetry man here.
Okay.
Um, how do you feel, especially now that we've had these discussions, moving Super Paper Mario to just smelly? Because using what hit me there is I literally just said it with Stanley Parable is what I respect about Super Paper Mario is the writing. And I'm like, I don't know if that's enough. Now, Super Paper Mario is ambitious with the 3D stuff, but I also feel like the 3D stuff does not work on any level.
yeah, I guess I guess the only amount of like pushback I would give is like weirdly I find it ambitious in how it wastes the player's time. Like it's a new method of wasting time every time. Like you have one level where
Yeah,
it's
true.
like you're gonna do 100 bits of combat. In another one, it's like memorize this really long code. Um,
Yeah.
and then you've also got what is his name? Fucking Squirtles, the space
Hmm.
squid. Like I need to find toilet paper. like
Yeah.
it just keeps poking the player, being like, eh, eh, This is annoying,
But
right?
like on this same token, as I said earlier with the No More Heroes thing, I feel like the way No More Heroes did it was organic.
Yeah, it was
Super
cleaner.
Paper Mario wasn't graceful.
Mm. I think, I will allow the argument of grace to be accepted. I'm willing to put it in just smelly.
Okay. And Wolfenstein 2 is full of grace. We don't need to relitigate that one.
No, no, no. We all agree here Nazis are bad.
What about you? Do you want to relitigate any of them?
Let me look over this. No, I find my eyes keep being drawn to Adventures of Link up there, but I'm not sure why. And I
Is it just because it looks lonely?
maybe, but no, it is good where it's at. I'm not really sure I would adjust much of anything here.
Okay. I agree for the most part. I feel like there's some crowd, but also I don't know where a better place for these crowds would be.
Yeah, it's really how much of like everything on this side of the smelly bubble would it eke into the smelly bubble.
Yeah.
You know, on I'm willing to litigate Halo 3 in terms of the would
Yeah.
recommend. And
Really?
the tickles my fancy. I think I'm feeling what you said at the start of just putting it in pure recommend.
Yeah.
But
Is there a logic to that?
it's a gut feeling. I'm not sure I could defend it because the other part of me is like, no, it's got to go down there because you're having the bros over and you're going to have a Halo 3 Forge night, right?
Yeah, I think the thing is also perhaps that you have Stockholm syndromes for spending hours and hours editing a Halo 3 playthrough.
Sure.
um,
Sure.
what kills tickles my fancy for me. I agree on that level, and in that sense, if Burnout 3 is there, in my head, Burnout 3 should take that spot just because it's accessible for everyone. Whereas Halo 3, to me, what kills it is it's not the best Halo or the first Halo I would recommend.
Hmm. Okay.
If someone asks me, I want to play Halo right now, I would not tell them play Halo 3.
Okay. So would you say just move Halo 3 out of would recommend and just have it with Batman?
Oh man, this is so tough. You could put it in would recommend because it's also not. Maybe it's just not my favorite. Maybe that's the problem. Is it's not my favorite, but maybe I should recommend it.
Yeah.
That's your call though.
I think when it gets into like the flaws of Halo 3, it it is actually in the thing we didn't touch on too much in the episode, which is like the story. Like it's a lot of good gameplay set pieces, and that Halo gameplay's always been solid, but the story to me is also kind of like eh. It feels in a lot of ways like weirdly just a lot of formality. Um
Yeah.
without a lot of like bite to it except for like the middle bit where you're teaming up with Gravemind to stop the Halo array and then it just becomes the Gravemind show.
Video game trilogies, and this is a variety segment we cut because it fucking sucked. I'm just
Don't
gonna say it.
usually
I'll take the blame on that. That was my bad. I will take full blame on that one. But I think the thing about it is ending trilogies in video games are just sort of like playing through the motions. The reason why God of War 3 fucking bangs is because the checklist that you've been setting up for 2 games prior, yeah, you're doing. And Halo 3 is fulfilling a checklist in that sense. So in some ways, yeah, it's super good, but it's also predictable. It's predictable as fuck.
yeah. So again it comes back to the is it more recommendable or is it more just generally fun? Um Maybe Halo 3 weirdly is the one that floats outside the bubble.
Into the Nexus Void Zone.
Yeah.
Honestly, because of this much deliberation, I say we leave it where it is.
Okay.
It's okay if the other parts of the bubble are fine. This looks good to me.
Yeah. But
Sometimes you can't question it.
no, even with the oops all bangers of this season, it's still a really good spread of different genres. And we got some triple A's, we got some real big indie titles in there. It feels this is a very historical season, I feel.
Yeah, we've started breaking into the canon.
And you know who also delves into history?
Go ahead.
Perhaps maybe the subject of my next franchise playthrough, which I will be getting into in 2026. And I'll just leave you with that little clue.
Oh,
And,
it's Indiana Jones. It's
and,
Indiana Jones.
and you know what? A second clue. A second clue for the franchise as a whole. When you think about it, it shares a lot in common with Resident Evil. When you think about it.
Murph, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. You are the finest co-host I could ask for. Um and we can't wait to see you next year. Honestly, it won't be that long.
No, it
Like
won't be.
he's like, I'm going to Antarctica. It's not going to be a crazy length. There'll probably be like one or two guest episodes. It's
Yeah.
chill. Don't
Yeah,
worry
look,
about
look, just like if we're being like real with ourselves, the first episode of this season went up like late February. So,
it. Yeah. Yeah.
and we won't
Look,
even we won't
honestly,
even
that was the other thing is if you look at this, probably half the games are in the second half of the year, or
this
like
is
like
this is
probably
true.
3/4 of them. Like
Yeah.
a lot of them were second half of the year. Yeah.
No. No,
Oh well.
but it was all bangers.
I'm looking forward to next year, Murph.
Next year no bangers. Only
Okay.
only harvester tier games.
Yeah. Oh, is it time for the Drowned God?
If you want to play Drowned God, that's for you, bro. I'll let you do that for yourself.
All right. I think
So,
we're
yeah,
fading out.
fading out, signing off.